Right, boys and girls, so I'm just watching that guy down on the river with his dog. Another video clip. As everyone knows, I'm sort of into this prepping business and that, and every prepper has their own way of doing things. And before we go any further, I have to remind you that preppers, survivalists, that sort of thing, they never have weapons. They're always tools, and you can have all sorts of devices, bows, crossbows, guns, knives, spears, you name it, in a shittest to fan scenario, to total societal breakdown, to protect yourself and acquire food if necessary. Now, as you'll know, anyone who knows me anyway, the countryside to me is one big smorgasbord. I know all the plants you can eat, I know all the animals you can eat too, and one of the things I see on things like social media groups is loads and loads of people, loads and loads of them in groups, and you can tell that 99% of them have never killed anything in their lives. Fish, you know, they've never been fishing, but they talk about things like, oh well, I'll stash a fishing rod and some hooks and line and I'll be able to fish. Well, of course, anyone who knows about angling knows full well that you can't rely on getting a meal just by sat there on the side of a pond or a river or a lake or by the sea with a fishing rod in your hand. It just doesn't work like that. You need trapping skills, and of course once a trap's set, it's working for you 24 hours a day. You don't have to be there. Another thing they say is, oh, I'm going to get myself a gun or something like this, or a crossbow, and I can stalk my dinner. Well, as someone who works in the countryside and always out in the countryside type thing, and I've done that most of my working life, it doesn't work like that either. Even the best stalkers, the best deer stalkers, the best feathers, the best shots in the land, all have bad days, and you cannot rely on things like that to get yourself a meal on a regular basis. And of course, it's most shootings are mobile activity, and of course once you take a shot, unless you've got a silencer of some sort, a sound moderator, you're going to alert people to your presence, as much as smoke might do if you light a fire. That said, I want to introduce you to a cracking little piece of kit. What I'm going to say to you now is nothing new, but this is a pistol crossbow. I've had this one about 10 years, and it's often regarded as a bit of a toy, and in many cases, in many ways it is, but it takes £75 draw to cock this string here, and if I squeeze that trigger and loosed off a bolt, you wouldn't want to be in front of it. They're not very accurate to maybe 20 yards, that type of thing, and the bolts you buy, the small bolts, I've got some here out the bag, these little like 6.5-inch things, and they fit on there like that. Now these are target tips, but you can actually get broadheads to go on these, 3 or 4 cutting edges that will slice through bone. Now a typical crossbow that you might buy in the shop, proper full-size crossbow, you're looking at something like £175 draw. It takes a lot of effort, a foot in the handle, and a string to draw the string back and cock the crossbow. And of course, the more powerful the bow, the more effort it takes to draw back the drawstring. So it's the more weight, we say the draw weight, we use that expression if you're not familiar with it. The higher that is, the more strength is required to draw the string back and lock it in position. And of course, when the bolt's released, it flies faster and has more kinetic energy when it strikes the target. But these are ideal because in England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, the UK, it's actually against the law to hunt any animal with an arrow or a bolt. Why that is, I'm not quite sure, because I think we're the only country in Europe that does that. That's not to say that there isn't actually some ethical or moral reason you shouldn't do it. It's just that I always get a bit nervous when I see the state bringing out laws which seems to be peculiar to one country and not others. It always smacks of totalitarianism to me. And of course it's something like totalitarianism which will probably possibly bring down the system if any sort of conflict breaks out, civil war, that sort of stuff. Unlikely as it is. But these will knock over a rabbit, especially with a little broad head on. Of course you've got to get close enough, and anyone who can regularly get up to a rabbit from 20 yards away and hit it with almost 100% accuracy every time, you know, certainly 9 out of 10 shots, that's some skill and achievement. So when anyone achieves that, fair play to them. But I've just decided to pop out now. I'm just outside town where I live, and I'm going to have a little bit of target practice. I like to do it now and then, keep my eye in. And I say these are just there for a rainy day. So I'm going to show you what I've done now. I've got a little target set up and a backdrop, and I brought a dozen of these with me, and we'll just have a little play about for half an hour, see what there is to see. This is my little setup. Basically I've just got an old sheet as a backdrop. That will stop the bolts. You can put a hole or rip in it, but it will stop them. It'll push the cloth back. I've used similar when I've been plinking with air guns and stuff like that. And this is just a cardboard box rammed full with cardboard, and I've got it dangling on a couple of strings here with a weight on the back, so I can adjust it easily if I need to. Just back away there if you can see that. And that's about 15 inches by 15 inches. Now I like that size because if that was a full-size crossbow, I wouldn't do it with this. And that was a larger animal like a deer, for instance. You always go for the chest area. If you're going to launch an arrow or a bolt, it's something large like a deer, and that's a typical sort of size. So although I'll be aiming for the middle here, as it were, as long as my bolts strike this part of the anywhere inside this squared area, let's call it a bit of a circle there, that's acceptable to me. If that was a big deer, there'd be the heart and the lungs in there. If a bolt hits the heart, the animal drops straight away. If it was to have something like a lung shot, it'll only get a few hundred yards and then it'll just collapse and die. But that's what that is. I've got a camera there set up, so we'll just have a pop now. These are actually very simple to use. As I have some bolts here, put that there, and they're quite simple devices really. Modern materials of course, but the principle's been around since the early medieval times when crossbows were invented. And got the trigger there. Of course nothing's going to happen because that little bar there is the safety, and that's the string. But with these there's a little bit of a safety catch there. I release that and I do that, and it draws back the string, and that's now cocked. Now it still won't fire because that safety is there, and essentially it fits in there. There's a little device there which clamps it down, and you push it back till it meets the string, and that little clip there holds it in place. As I say, go like that, nothing happens. But as soon as I push that off and squeeze the trigger, that will fly out. So we'll have a play about, and that'll be demonstrated in a couple of minutes. Now then, I loosed off 6 there. It's a bit dirty, that one, last time I used it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I was aiming for the centre spot, slightly off the sight, so I can adjust that in a bit. But 3 grouped there, so that's good. But all of these were in this sort of area of interest, as it were. That target's just packed full of layers of cardboard, quite heavy actually. So I'm just going to draw those out now and fire a few more. just before I sign off, as it were. I'll just I won't get them out the packet, but these are those broadheads I mentioned, extremely sharp. Before use you'd sharpen them again anyway, and let's see, they got 3 blades on them. These could fit on a normal crossbow bolt, and if they were to hit bone at 50 yards type thing, it would just slice through them and smash it up. So it's always a handy bit of kit to have.